Fantastic. And welcome again. So, if you are catching this via recording, know that you are practicing with a class that is recorded live with a phenomenal international group of people. We have about 125 of us practicing live right now, and it is extraordinary. So, if you are catching this via recording and would like to join us for a live class, come join us. We would love to have you. It's a beautiful community. So, our focus for today, as many of you know, I have my post-traumatic growth card deck, goes this direction, and I typically choose a card from the deck for a theme for today, and I've done that for today. And some of you know these cards pretty well, and if they're new to you, they're available on my website. But I'll share with you the card that I chose for today. And all of the cards are accompanied with my own photography. And this particular photo is taken in southern Utah here in the US. And it's a um, kind of a natural water hole that was held in the rock, and the water is reflecting the clouds up above. And I'll just speak a little bit about why I chose this particular image for this card. And the card is called The Cost of Pretending. And I'll read you the reading that accompanies the card. But there's a way in which water reflects that which is around it, right? And water is of its own nature very permeable, very porous, and it receives the rhythms, or it receives the ripples, it receives the imprints of that which is around it. And I think for myself, as a very sensitive and somewhat porous individual, I have a lot of porosity to my nature. I sometimes can find it a little bit challenging to organize around who I am, what I'm feeling is differentiated from the world around me. Sometimes I'm so good at reflecting all that's around me that I have to work hard to come back to myself. Anybody relate? Like, is it just me? Oh, thank you. I'm in a community of some like-minded folks. So, um, and as an adult, I have practices that help me come back to myself. I have meditation, I have yoga, I have quiet time in nature, I have times to do inner reflection, even therapy where somebody else is reflecting me back to me. And I come back and I'm like, oh, that's what I'm feeling. There I am. And when I was growing up, I didn't know my own nature that well yet, and I would get caught sometimes in being who others needed me to be in order to fit in or belong or survive sometimes. So I call this card The Cost of Pretending because it's very much about what happens when we're stuck in those outer reflections of who we think we're supposed to be versus who we really are. And the courage and also sometimes the challenge that it takes to come back to self and to take off the mask and feel ourselves fully. Um, so, um, I often say that congruence is our body's love language, that there is something that our bodies deeply love and our nervous systems deeply love when we are feeling what is true for us, when we are in sync with ourselves. And when we're expressing what we're truly feeling, it kind of lights us up. And in some ways, I think of that as the truest, deepest vagus nerve stimulation is actually emotional congruence. It's emotional truth. Um, and I just came back, and several of you were there with me at the Polyvagal Institute conference, or you attended virtually as well. And Steve Porges has been saying of late that he likes to reframe the word vulnerability as accessibility. And we become accessible to each other when we show each other what's really happening on the inside. How am I really feeling? And we show what's beneath the masks that we might wear to navigate the world around us. He also says that accessibility is the greatest gift that we can give to each other. And it's one of the reasons why I really love to come in and be here as a person who gets to practice with all of you, right? Like you are literally invited into my own home, right? Via Zoom, and we get to practice where I do my own personal practice. And it feels very intimate, even though we get to connect via technology. And I'm grateful for that. I'll share a little bit about the physical practice, and then I'll read the card, and I have a poem for today. So, physically, today's practice is going to be a lot about our hips. I had an interesting experience this week. My very, very dear stepfather had hip surgery, or not hip surgery, had knee surgery. He had knee surgery on Tuesday of this week, and I could feel myself just bracing, like I wasn't sleeping as deeply, and I just wanted everything to go well. And I got on my yoga mat on Tuesday, and we went into pigeon pose. If you're familiar with that, it's a nice deep hip opener. And as soon as I got into pigeon, whoop, the tears came, right? Like, and it was at that moment that I realized that I was bracing. Like, is he going to be okay? Can he get to the other side of the surgery? Which, of course, a few hours later, I got the news that he was fine and he's on the other side and making his way through the pain process post-surgery, but coming out the other side. So sometimes it's just amazing to me still that I get into the hips and, well, there's the emotion, right? And it's one of the things that I think has always drawn me to yoga is that there are these shapes, and not to say that the hips are the only place we hold emotion, but it's just one way in when we get into the body, when we breathe into the tight places, where it begins to open up. So this, you'll notice we'll have a lot of hip openers and a lot of different shapes for our hips. And then when we come up into standing, we're going to have some practices that are built for something that we call vagal efficiency. But there's basically just going to be some kind of like elevating, playful, balancing shapes, and you'll notice your heart rate might be invited to rise a little bit, and then we'll settle and we'll integrate, and that basically builds our resilience and our capacity to navigate stress. So there's the science of today, but mostly I just want to dive in and do the practice with you, and I'm super excited to do the practice with you. So the reading from the card, The Cost of Pretending, and the card deck is accompanied. I know it's hard to get it to y'all in Europe, so my apologies. I wish I had a distributor there. We'll talk. Some of you are like, I'll be your distributor in Europe. We'll figure it out. But anyway, it comes with a little guidebook, and this is the reading with the card. There is a cost that comes with pretending. Perhaps you once experienced that your real, authentic self was unwanted or unacceptable. You may still carry that wound inside of you today. Are you hiding your true self behind perfectionism, caretaking, or are simply masking how you really feel? Pretending is emotionally exhausting. Healing comes when you can be your authentic self, and ideally when you are compassionately witnessed by a trustworthy other. Being reflected in this light allows you to reclaim your ability to see yourself clearly. Where in your life and with whom can you take off the mask and reveal your true self? And my invitation for today is that hopefully this can be one of those places. And there is something also very intimate about practicing yoga in your own space, in your home or in wherever you are, right? Like there's something really beautiful. And again, whether you have your camera on or whether you turn it off, that's up to you. But that you really get to be very, very attuned to yourself. There's no performance. There's nothing you have to do. If ever I offer up a shape and you're like, that's not for me, you adapt, modify, do what feels right for you. That is very much the personal responsibility that accompanies this practice. So here's our poem for today. And it's by Rosemary Watola Tromer. And I read her poetry a lot, and I hope that you like this one. It's called For When People Ask. I want a word that means okay and not okay. I want a word that means okay and not okay. A word that means devastated and stunned with joy. I want a word that says, I feel it all at once. The heart is not like a songbird singing only one note at a time. More like a Tuvan throat singer, able to sing both a drone and simultaneously two or three harmonics high above it. A sound, the Tuvans say, that gives the impression of wind swirling among rocks. The heart understands the swirl, how the churning of opposite feelings weaves through us like an insistent breeze, leads us wordlessly deeper into ourselves, blesses us with paradox, so we might walk more openly into this world so rife with devastation, this world so ripe with joy. Mm. The heart understands the swirl, how the churning of opposite feelings weaves through us like an insistent breeze, leads us wordlessly deeper into ourselves, blesses us with paradox. So we might walk more openly into this world so rife with devastation, a world so ripe with joy. Yeah. So, my invitation for today, and I will put the poem in the chat and in the comments and in the text box below your Zoom or your YouTube, so you'll have lots of ways to find it. And my intention for today is that phrase that many of us are familiar with now that simply says, it is okay to not be okay. And I'm willing to find the joy alongside the sorrow or the devastation or the tragedy. All right, let's do that together. I'm going to move back onto my mat. Thank you. I received that comment. You always have the best poems. I search for them. I read a lot of poetry and I love to share them. Um, so thank you for that. And I'm going to go ahead and make my way back onto the mat, put my hair up, and I will invite you to find your way to where you would like to practice and what will support your practice. Today, I think it's always helpful to have a few blocks along with you. If you like to have a cushion for any knee down shapes, that's also a nice thing to have with you. And now that I've arrived here, I think I'm just going to close this so I'm not so backlit. And we will dive in. Okay. So with all of those words, we're going to go to the place that's beneath the words. And I invite you to begin to sense what it is that you are bringing with you onto the mat today, into your practice. What experiences have led you to maybe disconnect a little bit or to hold your breath unknowingly? You might choose to close your eyes for a moment or keep them closed. That's always up to you as well. And begin to tune in to what you're bringing with you on the inside. You might also find some well-chosen words or phrase or just a single word that represents your intention or what you're hoping to get out of your practice. And I'm going to invite you to bring some movement into your hands. You might find a more brisk movement, or you might find some very slow sensing palm to palm. Either way, it's totally welcome here. And I'm going to invite you to bring your hands to your face. So, one of the beautiful things about working with applied polyvagal theory in yoga and working with the vagus nerve is the vagus nerve works so closely with the other nerves that give us the feeling of the face. And especially when we've been masking or pretending or hiding what we're really feeling, we sometimes have these kind of subtle ways of freezing the expressive muscles around our eyes, around the mouth, around the cheeks. And so I want you to just do a little bit of a kind of self massage along your face. The invitation is to wake up all of the kind of nerve fibers and the fascia, wake up the feeling of your face across your forehead, your temples, your cheekbones, under your eyes, to the sides of your eyes, around your jaw. And this one is fun. You get to also maybe stick out your tongue. Sticking out your tongue might also wake up a sound. You can open your jaw wide. You can close it shut. You can kind of clamp like, give it a little growl, like you're going to bite on something. You get to wake up the full range of expressivity around your ears. And it can even feel good here when we get to the ears to give your ears a little self massage around your earlobes, rolling them in or out. Fingertips around the concha of the ear, that's the ear, the part of your ear that surrounds the ear canal, or give the tragus, the bit of cartilage in front of your ears, a little squeeze. Fingertips can tug down on your ears, and again, you might open and close your jaw. You can take your fingers in V's, like peace fingers, in front of and behind your ears, massaging around the hinge of your jaw. And it can also feel good to just massage around your hairline, your scalp. Sometimes we don't even realize it, but when we're kind of clamping down on the muscles of the face, it translates upward into kind of feeling like we've got our thinking cap on. We're trying to figure everything out. And all of the muscles and fascia of the skull get a little bit tight, more tight or grippy. You can also self-massage at the base of your skull, the occiput at the top of your neck, base of skull. So we're just kind of waking up the whole head. Yay, wake up the head. Beautiful. And then I'll invite you to take your hands to arms. This is a little bit of havening touch down from shoulders towards elbows. And we're going to kind of take this touch and let that help wake up the whole body. So you might find your front body, a little bit of just greeting, your back body around your kidneys, adrenals, down towards your hips. And then you can also greet your legs, fronts and backs of your legs, all the way down to your feet. We can start out by greeting what we'll call our skin suit. And then from there, I'll invite you to just take a moment and notice how just that arriving with self-applied touch begins to shift something, perhaps. And our next layer is to bring in conscious breathing. And so I'm going to invite you to really start to sense the movement of your breath, the sound, the texture of your breath. And we'll add in a little bit more texture. We're going to add in what we call ujjayi pranayama. It's a slight constriction of the whisper muscles of your throat. If it's new to you, you can imagine fogging a mirror and then let that sound and the quality of that engagement of the muscles in your throat, the vocal cords, persist, but take the breath in and out of your nose. We call this a warming breath. Sometimes an oceanic breath. Not only does it wake up around your throat, but where the vagus nerve travels into the middle ear, waking up that quality of the audible sensing of your breath, like the ocean waves. And our next layer that we bring into practice will be movement. And I'm going to invite you to bring that breath with you as we go into some spinal rotations. Inhaling as you come forward, exhale as you round back. And we'll call this revolving ujjayi, right? So you just take this in a rotational or revolution. Inhale, exhale. And it's your breath, your movement, your pace, your rhythm. Going the opposite direction. Beautiful. When you feel even, we'll come back up to center. And this time finding some seated cat-cow, just lengthening your spine on the inhale, coming forward, on the exhale, rounding back. You might have your hands on your shins or your knees, feeling how you get to roll across your sits bones, tucking your tail, reaching your tailbone back. Again, your pace, your rhythm. And staying with that same quality of movement, hands to shoulders. Inhale, elbows come wide, chin gets to lift. And exhale, tucking your chin, elbows come together in front of your heart. And really begin to stretch through the upper spine, the front of your chest and throat. This is another beautiful place to add in a little bit of sound or even stick your tongue out. You can turn it into a lion's breath if you like. Let it be fierce. Ah. Let something go out of your shoulders. Ah. One more like that. Ah. And then opening your arms wide, like giant wings kind of fanning your body with fresh prana, fresh energy. We inhale, we sweep open. Exhale, you might even bring your palms to touch, to press. And again. One more time like that. And then from here, I'll invite you to just take your shoulders, give them a rotational movement, one direction and the other. You might take that into a little bit of movement around your elbows, allowing your forearms to circulate inward and outward. And you can also take it into your wrists. Give your wrists a little spiral dance and let that translate through all of those joints of shoulders, elbows, wrists. And even your spine gets to wiggle along for the ride. So good, so good. And then go ahead and come back into just a brief pause, noticing impact, not only of that self-applied touch that we started with, but of mindful breathing, spinal movement, joint rotations of the upper body, subtle temperature shifts, ways of feeling more present. Okay, and we're going to get into the legs a little bit more here. So we'll start with some joint rotations here as well. We're going to start around the ankles. You can lift your right foot. I'm going to go ahead and be sided on this because it'll help when we get into the hips. And go ahead and just begin to spin your right foot around your right ankle a few times here. Now, if things are coming in the chat, I can't see them from back there. So just so you know, okay, that is helpful to know about volume. You might be able to turn some stuff up on your end, and I will try and do that on my end. Is that any better, folks? Okay, but all right, so we'll keep going. Volume is fine here. Okay, well, hopefully that helps for anyone that it was low. And we're going to keep going with our joint rotations, and you can start with your ankle in one direction and the other way. And then your shin around your knee. And, I like to give a little support for the leg. That's totally up to you. And these are short. We do about 5 rotations in each direction. So we spin it the other way. You might get a few snap, crackle, pops in the joints of your body. They are welcome. Just we call these wind removing shapes. So we get a little excess air moving. All right, we're going to go for the hips now. So I like a nice wide hold, one on my foot, one on my knee. And getting into the hip joint in one direction and the other way. Okay, beautiful. And now we're going to, invitation is to turn, you're going to lean into left hip to take your right hip, your right leg behind. So right knee is towards left foot. And in this kind of deer shape of the base of our body, the invitation is to take a little spin around towards the left and then back to the right. Your body will have your own range of motion, and you're going to listen in and really deeply respect. You might keep your right hand rooted on your hip and just really feeling the lower body, or you might reach your arm across your body. Totally up to you. There might be little places in here where you like to pause, send your breath, be aware. Beautiful. Okay, and here's where it gets a little fun. So I'm going to have you stay leaning on your left hip. And for a moment, just lift. I'll turn this a little bit. Just lift your right heel. Now, lifting your right heel and lowering it, you'll probably feel a little bit of the engagement in your right hip. Beautiful. Next invitation is to just lift and lower your right leg. Just feel that for a few moments again, like what muscular engagement, and you can also do this hands-free, a little balance play in leaning into left hip and just playing with that lift of your right. And then the next invitation is to lift your right leg, maybe balance play, hands can always be on the ground, and take your right leg across your body. And then we're going to go back again. And you can even place your leg down. You can rest in, weight into your right hip a little bit, and then we're going to repeat. We're going to lift and around and back and lower. And last time, leaning left, lifting right, coming around. This time we're going to stay. I'll invite you to plant your right foot to the outside of your left leg, and then maybe sit in such a way that your right hip and sits bone makes contact with the earth again. And we can just find a long spine right here. Right? So we're in a Matsyendrasana, or a Lord of the Fish base. We've got a nice solid base, like we were going to come into a twist. And as we come into this twist, I want you to really focus on a long spine. So it's not about how deep in the twist we go, it's just about finding that length of spine and perhaps still sending your breath into right hip, outside of your right leg. You might turn your chin, you might even take your gaze back and behind you. Remember to breathe. And then we unwind from here. And again, maybe hands free, lifting right leg. And this time out kind of at a diagonal angle in front of you. So here it's an invitation to sense into your right leg, right? Like you might use your hands, greet your skin suit once again, right? Say hello to front and back of your leg. You might lean your upper body over your leg a little bit, which will begin to wake up more of the layers of muscle or fascia, the felt sense of the muscles. What is it like inside of your right leg today? Maybe you notice how this taps into hips or low back. Breathing, being gentle here. And then when you're ready, we'll come back up. And taking a moment just to sense as you come back to center, left and right sides of your lower body. Sometimes it's nice for me when I close my eyes and I'm like, oh wow, my whole right leg is like lit up in my mind's awareness in a way that's very different from my left leg right now. So let's even ourselves out. So this time, leaning into the right hip a little bit to lift the left, and we start with ankle rotations, foot around your ankle, going in each direction. And then shin around your knee, both directions. Good. And then nice wide hold, foot, knee. Few rotations here. Both directions. So lovely. And then the invitation is to lean to the right as you take your left leg around and behind. Left knee and right foot are towards each other, left foot back. And then this deer home base and a little bit of exploratory movement. Maybe twisting in and out of the shape. Your left hand might stay on your hip or might begin to reach across your body. Maybe your gaze follows. Hmm. Lovely. Okay. So from here, we'll get into a little bit of that play for your left hip. We're going to start by leaning into the right and just lifting your left foot a few times here, feeling the engagement in your left hip. Next invitation is to just lift and lower your whole left leg. And you might do that hands-free. Just playing around with how it feels to balance, be in a funny shape. All right. And then we're going to take that into a little bit of movement. Maybe hands are on the ground, maybe it's hands-free as you bring your left leg around and then back and behind, and you can lower, settle to the earth, and then lift back up. Ooh. You might notice one side is easier than the other. It's good to know. Paying attention. All right, this time we're going to come all the way around and prepare for that seated twist so that left hip can now make its way to the earth. And remember that it's the long spine that we're going for here. And you might take right hand to your left knee. You might take left fingertips behind and finding a twist of the spine, but not to compromise that length. So you might twist in the mid-spine, thoracic spine, taking your chin, your eyes can reach. And remember to breathe. And then unwind, unwind, wiggle that out. Come on back around. Again, you're going to maybe hands free, take your leg all the way around to the left. And then as you arrive in this kind of one-legged stretch here, greeting, saying hello, your left leg might have, again, different experience on this side, different degree of tension. Finding your breath. Lovely. And when you feel even and complete, coming back through. This time, the invitation is to take both of your feet out in front of you. And perhaps in a manner that you've got the long side of your mat largely behind you, because we'll eventually be laying down. But before we get there, I invite you to take a moment, maybe with your hands behind you, your feet wide enough so that they're at the edges of your mat, and just let your knees fall to one side, come back through center, and the other way. And just a little bit of kind of flossing again for the hips. Hopefully this feels pretty easeful, like there's not a whole lot of discomfort. And you can also play with this hands-free. So some of you like me, know that I say, look, Ma, no hands. And well, my heels are still on the ground, but look, Ma, no hands. But my mom is here practicing with us, so yay. So we get to just let the knees fall. And then it's a little bit more core engagement to twist from side to side. Get some schmutz off my mat. All right, there we go. And play a little bit in that space. Beautiful. Okay. And when you're ready, come on back through to center, and I'll invite you to roll yourself back. And we're going to repeat that movement with the knees, just different relationship to gravity. So feet out to the edges or so of your mat, and just let your knees fall one direction. And then inhale through center as they get to drop the other way. And you might pause on one side and just really reach that knee down and away. You can even reach, so if my left knee is the top knee and it's reaching down and away, I'm going to reach my left arm up overhead. Feel that long line across the front of the quadricep into hip flexor, into psoas, into rib cage, shoulder. Beautiful. Let's take that the other side. So knees falling. This time my right leg is on top. I'm going to reach my right knee away as I reach my right arm up overhead. Ah. Good. And then when you feel complete side to side, come on back through to center. And from here, I'll invite you to take your feet about hips width apart and a little bit closer perhaps to your buttocks. And then I'll invite you to take your hands behind your head. We'll do a little bit of core strengthening here. Inhaling and exhale to lift. Moving with your breath, with your rhythm and pace. And just waking up, because when we come into standing, when we come into balance, having our core awakened and strengthened is going to be beneficial. Really, not just the muscular engagement of the core, but the way that that kind of energetically tethers you to a sense of self. Good. One more like this, very simple. And then lowering down just long enough to lift your feet off the ground, tabletop here through your knees over hips in the 90-degree bend with your shins. And then the same thing, exhale. Now here it becomes a little bit more of a sensing into going straight up with your upper body, letting your elbows be nice and wide, letting your head be heavy in your hands. Inhaling as you lower and exhale as you lift. Beautiful. And then lower down for just a moment, just reset. And our next invitation is to take this into a bicycle. So now right elbow coming towards left knee. And you might just take a moment to look at what I'm doing with my legs. Because I'm going to take my legs in a particular shape here where my heel is touching the opposite inside of the knee. And my lengthened leg is up at like a 45-degree angle. So just play around maybe with getting to sense your legs in that shape if you're coming along for this ride. That shape is going to be something we'll repeat again in a moment in a different manner. Exhale as you come to the side, inhale through center. And evening yourself out, maybe one more each side. And then lower it down. So this next piece here, invitation to maybe take your hands down to the sides of your mat. I like to kind of grip the sides of my mat here. The head and shoulders are going to stay on the ground. We're going to take that same shape we just took in that bicycle. So in this case, I've got my right leg at that 45-degree angle and my left foot to the inside of the knee. And now it's just going to be the lower body that's going to lift and shift. Lift and shift. So it's like a little reverse, I don't know, bicycle in the legs. And then it's just to lift the tailbone off the mat the tiniest little bit. So it might just be an inch or two, and then rolling back down. And as you switch your legs, you might even get just the tiniest little bit of momentum. That's okay here. And you can find the breath. Exhale to lift. Inhale, switch. One more each side. Okay. Ooh, I don't know. Did you feel that too? I felt that. We're going to take a figure four stretch here. So taking your right ankle over your left thigh and maybe threading the needle, taking a little hold here. Once again, greeting your hips. Now we'll be taking this shape standing. We'll actually be balancing in a figure four. So maybe get to know your body in this shape without the balance aspect. Just here on your back, hands behind your thigh. You can even wrap around your shin if you like. You might have one hand behind your left thigh and your right hand on the inside of your right leg. So whatever helps you greet this shape, meet yourself here. And then we'll switch sides. You can always keep the heel on the ground and just kind of work this shape right here, really generously soft and gentle. You might take it into that deeper stretch, lifting foot off the mat, taking a hold behind your thigh. And stillness or little bits of movement is totally up to you. And then unwinding from here, next invitation, hands behind your knees, a few rocks and rolls on your spine. And eventually rocking right over your shins and meeting in a tabletop. Once you arrive in your table, taking a little bit of time here for some free body movement. You might find some circular movements forward and back. We'll do some cat-cows together in a moment. Just let this really be guided by your sensations, like your favorite animal just waking up from a nap. Sounds are welcome, sounds and sighs. Good, let it feel good. And then when you're ready, we'll do some cat and cow together. Invitation is to lift through your head and tailbone. And exhale, arch your spine. And then your pace, your rhythm. Maybe sound. Maybe stick your tongue out, scrunch your face. And one more. Beautiful. I'll invite you to take a little C curve of your spine. So it's like your shoulders and hips are going to go in the same direction. If I show this and kind of at an angle here, I'm C curving and ear towards shoulder, even eyes can go across as if trying to look at my left heel. And then coming in through center and then C curve the other way. So kind of contracting for me, it's on my right side body. Ear towards shoulder, eyes reach. Inhale through center. One more each side. Exhale to the left. Inhale. And exhale to the right. Beautiful. Back through center. Next guided movement is to send your left heel back to give a few rocks over the ball of your foot, over the toes. And then invitation is to lift through your left leg, excuse me, and take it across to the right. So you're going to cross your body, and maybe I'll show it in this angle here. So my left foot is across to the right, and I'm going to find that same C curve of the upper body. As if I can see this time my left heel as I'm kind of contracting the right side body and gazing across. Beautiful. And then spine through center, lifting left leg, taking left leg out to the side, and then sitting back. And as you sit back in this shape, you might keep the right toes long or you might curl them under. That's up to you. You might take hips all the way back or they might stay lifted. That's also up to you. And this shape is really just an exploration, getting to know and hips in a different relationship, different shape, different way in, especially that inner thigh of your left leg. Good. And then back up through the table. I'm going to invite you to send your left leg back again, this time under your body, bent knee. Inhale back. Exhale, left knee coming towards your left shoulder. A little bit of that same side body quality, reaching long under your body. Exhale. Listen carefully. Inhale. Exhale. It's like you're coming around to the side, but you plant your foot. And then we come into a half squat. So in this shape, you might be lifted up high or you might be down low. That's totally up to you, really up to your body, right? Like your hips, your ankles, your knees are going to dictate how you want to take this half squat. And then in the half squat, just a little bit of your own free body movement, right? You might curl deep and in, wiggle around in there. You might find a little bit of a side body stretch. It's just like a home base for how you'd like to explore the world in your own instinctual, intuitive way. Nothing to do right here. There's nothing to perfect. Beautiful. Another breath here. And then when you're ready, we meet back in tabletop. We'll find all of that inside too in just a moment. You might do a little palate cleanse with just a cat cow, lifting head tail, and exhale into cat. And then we'll find all of that on side two. So this time it's right leg behind. We find a few pulses over the foot. And then lifting through your right leg across to the left. And now we're going to get into that kind of contraction of the left side body as you gaze across, looking at your right heel. It feels a little bit like a game of Twister, but that's okay. Just letting yourself breathe into your right side body. And again, like that game of Twister, we're going to take the right foot up and all the way out to the right. So we're in that little kind of water bug shape here. And then you can find your own exploration. Hips can come back or stay forward. Left toes might be tucked or not. I particularly like this one because sometimes I discover that, wow, I didn't realize I had all of that tension in the inner groin down to the inner knee, that inside of the leg line here. And it kind of opens that up, freeing up some of the tugging that can happen in the joints of the hip or the knee. Letting that go. Beautiful. Eventually, we're going to lift back up into our table base, and then that right leg coming up and back. And exhale your right knee under your body. Arch your spine. Inhale, behind. Exhale, right knee, right shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, under. Inhale. And exhale as if you're coming out to the right, but this time you plant your right foot and we're in that half squat, whether that's a lifted, up high half squat or a curled in, really scrunched in here. Let yourself find your way into what your body is needing. I like to give sounds. It's like a little soundscape coming right from my body. Mm. Right, super beautiful. When you feel even and complete on this side, we'll come back through table. And making your way to a downward facing dog. Lifting knees, pressing up and back. You might lift up onto the toes. You might bend both knees deeply. You might walk it out, one heel and the other. You might even let your hips fall from side to side. Mm. And then for our transition today, invitation is to take your feet wide to the edges of your mat, to bend your knees deeply, to walk your hands back. Some of you have done this with me. We end up in kind of a squat. That might be a high squat. That might be a low squat with your hips a little bit lowered. You can take a moment here just to get to know your body in this shape. You can rock a little side to side. You might be again up here, depending on knees and hips, just as fine. Listen to your body. Good. And then we're going to make our way to standing. Really feel that rootedness. We've been close to the earth now for this whole practice. Our first time coming to standing, really take that earthiness with you as you press down to rise up. And we repeat. Go ahead, gather, gather, gather. Come on back down. We're going to harvest all of this earthy goodness, right? It's harvest season. Why not pull up what you need to bring with you and find that reach, that extension. Glorious. And then releasing your hands. I'll invite you to take a moment standing, maybe feet underneath hips, and a slight bend to your knees, just to keep the movement through the joints of your legs. It's a good moment perhaps to sense the beating of your own heart, your own authentic presence. Coming back to your breath. And our next invitation, and I think I'll take my feet just a little bit wider than hips for this one, is just to find a little bounce. A little bit of a bounce play here. Of just let your arms go with the bounce. Let your shoulders go. Let your voice go. Let a sound happen. Let the bounce come from your ankles, knees. Let your hips go for the ride. You might even let your jaw go. Let your tongue go. Let your eyes go. Go for the ride. And you might also let something go off your shoulders, dripping away. Something you've been holding that you don't need anymore. And then slowly, slowly let that bounce come to a quiet stillness. Again, a little bend in your knees just to let the energy flow. Maybe you can sense and feel the flow of energy right here, right now. This is you. Okay. All right, so we'll get into a little bit more play. And with this one, I'm going to show two variations. It's going to be a dynamic breath. If it's too dynamic, I'm going to show a modified version. It's breath of joy, and it involves a three-part inhale and an exhale. I'm going to show modified first, and then I'll show the full version. So modified is inhale, 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 exhale, back pockets. Okay, and then again, it's an inhale, arms in front, inhale, arms to the side, inhale overhead, and ground yourself, back pockets. We'll do that one together. And if you're wanting the dynamic version, if you feel like your body, your spine is up for that, it's going to look like this. Okay, nice audible exhale, and we'll do that again. Remember, you've got the back pockets if you need them. One more. And then pause for a moment. Can we find the joy alongside the challenge, the sorrow, the devastation, the suffering? Can you let that percolate and move through you, that aliveness, your life force energy? Beautiful. Now, knowing that we still probably feel a little bit of like, ooh, like a little bit lifted, uplifted, maybe a little ungrounded, we're going to play in balance. So if you need another moment, watch this first round and then come on in when you're ready. So, our next invitation, and you can bring your hands to your heart for a moment, you might even feel your heartbeat in there, is to, and we'll take our feet, so again, a little wider than hip width, is just to start to cross your body. And when you cross your body, if my right arm is going across, my right heel is lifting and my hip is turning a little. And I'm going to come back through center. I'm going to take it the other way. Left arm reaches, left heel lifts, and my gaze is going to follow my hand. So the moving hand and gaze and that heel lift. Now, already with the heel lift, there's some balance, yeah? Good. And you might take it to the next layer here, which is you can literally lift that whole foot off the ground as you go into that reach. So you can play around here with whether you want the kickstand of the toes or the full body lean reach balance. I like to inhale as I come through center and exhale. But you might play around with the opposite. See if you want to reach and inhale and exhale here. Good. And then when you feel like you're even, balanced on both sides, another opportunity, sense and feel. How's your body? What's moving? What's awakening? Playfully awakening. Let's take this into a few rounds of sun salutation just to kind of move with breath for a moment here. I'll invite you to inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, your gaze lifts. Exhale into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, planting hands, stepping back. And for the first one, I'm going to invite us to come all the way down to the earth, maybe knees, chest, chin on the way there, and slither down. Speaking of slithering, let's find a few rolling cobras. Inhale. And exhale as you lower, your choice, how much lift of your spine, how much weight in your hands. Two more, your own breath cycle. And then making your way to downward dog, I'll invite coming through table, maybe even a brief moment pressing back as if towards child's pose before lifting up and pressing back downward dog. Noticing second time here in this shape, what's different, what's evolving. Mm. And then gazing forward, making your way towards the front of the mat, however you would like to get there. Inhale halfway. Exhale to fold. Inhale all the way to stand. And exhale. We'll do another round, add-ons if you'd like, or repeat just what we did. Inhale to sweep your arms up. Exhale to fold. Inhale halfway. Exhale, planting hands, stepping back. This time, option to go from high plank to low plank chaturanga, rolling over toes. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then once again, making your way to the front of your mat. You can hop, you can step, however you'd like to get there. Finding a halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale all the way up to standing. Exhale, samastitihi, palm to heart center in whatever way you'd like. Maybe a brief pause here just to recollect yourself. Our recollections, huh? I get to remember who we are. All right, we're going to do another round of balance play. This one's a little different. Been kind of building towards this, and we'll do a few rounds of this. So I'm going to show this one facing you, and then we're going to do it facing the front end. I'll do it facing the front end of the mat. So if you want to watch the first round and then join the second round, that's up to you. So the invitation is to come into a chair pose, and to draw your arms up overhead, and to inhale here, exhale to sweep your arms back. Inhale to lift your arms. Exhale to sweep back. This time it's your left leg that's going to come with you. Inhale, left leg to lift. Now this is parachutes. Many of us have done this with me before. If you're new, welcome to parachute. Exhale, we're going to take this into a curtsy, taking your leg behind you. We did this in a different shape, right? This kind of leg behind the back. You can even turn and gaze towards your left foot if you like. All right, here we're going to add on something new. Inhale, balance as you bring your left leg up and forward. Now you know why we did all this sitting. And exhale, opening your knee to the side. We'll call this half goddess, right? Beautiful. Just accommodating to this shape. What is this one like for you? How's balance today? And then next invitation is standing figure four. So we did this on our backs, and we're going to find this with balance. Ooh la la, hello balance. You might bring your hands to heart center. You might find a point on the earth to gaze at. Doesn't matter how low down you go. And if I'm showing this from the side, I can still balance here. There we go. Long spine, right? So I'm not rounded. Nice long spine. So you can stay pretty uplifted. Beautiful. And then let's unwind, come on back, 2 feet on the earth. You can shake it out for a moment before side two. Okay, bent knees, inhale, sweep your arms. Exhale, arms back and behind. Good. Inhale, this time it's your right leg that's coming for the ride. Good. You take a moment just to feel one-legged, little parachute moment, right? When I say parachute, if I'm showing it from the side, my standing leg is still bent, right? So I've got a nice like buoyancy in the shape, hence the parachute. Now we're going to take right leg around and behind, a little curtsy. And take your arms back. Maybe your gaze comes back. Right, so we have both feet on the floor. There's still a lot of action helping us stay upright, right? Helping us from falling over. Okay, now here's the big move, the big balance shift, shifting into your left leg, right leg up, around, coming into this half goddess. Hello. Wow. All right, now you could imagine lifting your left leg to join the right. You'll have flying goddess. Haha. You're doing great. And then around and in. A little bit of standing balance, long spine in your standing figure four. So well done. Pressing down, lift up, shake it out, let it go, shake it out. Now we're going to do it again. Going to do it 2 more times, well, at least 1 more time each side. So this time I'm going to turn to the front of my mat because we're going to add on a little bit more, okay? So this is our big challenge. And then we'll be down on the mat resting. And remember, it's your practice. If you are like, wow, I'm ready for Shavasana, go. We'll meet you there in about 10 minutes. So, rest, let the rest of the class wash over you. We're going to come into that chair pose, that Utkatasana. Invitation to bring your arms up. Exhale to send them back. Inhale, it's your left leg coming for the ride. Okay, exhale into curtsy. We're not here this very long this time. Inhale, balance. Ooh la la, half goddess. Exhale, figure four. Ooh. Inhale, standing mountain, one leg lift. Exhale, send your left leg back, back, back. We're going to land our airplane. Ooh. Here we are on the earth. Now for today, I'm going to have you land your left heel. So we're going to prepare to come into a warrior one, and you might need to walk your right foot out to the right a little bit and just really check in with your feet. Like, we land an airplane, but sometimes we need to readjust our feet. So widen your stance. And when we come into warrior one, we're working our hips toward the front of the mat, towards that short end. And sometimes that takes just a little bit of a practice round of like experimenting with how does it feel to move the hips in that direction, and we don't push past the edge. So I want you to go where it feels smooth and delicious, and then stop there. Like, don't go to where it feels crunchy or painful, right? Back away even from like the little bit of push. So the hips don't have to be perfectly square. And then the invitation, open your arms, open your heart. beautiful. Okay, lift your arms maybe, just lift your gaze. Oh, let that feel so good. I hope it feels so good. On an exhale, I'm going to invite you to take your hands down and behind, and we'll take this into a humble warrior shape. You can interlace your hands, draw your arms down and back and behind, lift your heart, and exhale, coming forward, 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 lifting your hands up. Again, a beautiful place to open through the backside of your heart. Let your head go. Stick your tongue out. Let your voice go. On an exhale, I invite you to release your hands down to the earth and then coming back up to standing. And exhale. So you have a few options here. One is to just experiment with shifting your weight back forward, right? It can take a few rounds. The other is just to walk yourself to the front of your mat. And you might pause here, again, a little balance play in airplane before we arrive at the front of the mat. And you can shake that out again. We've got one more side to go. Then we'll all be on our backs and integrating will soon to be on our backs. We'll get there. All righty. Invitation, drawing your arms up. We're going to find chair pose. Sit back. Exhale. This time it is your right leg that comes for the ride, the buoyancy. Exhale, curtsy. Beautiful. Inhale. We come through that lifted leg and open to goddess. Exhale. Standing figure four. Here's our add-on. Inhale and exhale. Step it back. It's like we're reaching into the unknown. And the solid ground is there for you. Maybe a soft landing, hopefully a soft landing. And then walking your left foot out to the left a little bit if you'd like. Grounding your right heel. And preparing for warrior one. Open and close your hips as many times as you'd like. And remember, finding where this feels good. Like we don't have to go into any shape that is an overstretch. We honor our body's messages. Opening your arms, your heart. Inhale, sweeping your arms. On an exhale, sweeping your arms back. Inhale, lifting through your heart. Exhale to the earth, head heavy. And then slowly, by way of your hips, releasing your hands. And then lifting back up. Inhale. And exhale. Maybe that final layer. Ooh la la. Shifting into your left leg. Right leg lifts. We make our way to the front. We release. We shake out. So well done. And on an exhale, invitation to forward fold. Halfway lift. and make your way directly back to downward dog. So no fancy stuff here unless you really want it. From downward dog, I'll invite us to come into pigeon and sending your right leg back, right knee forward, and walking yourself in. Now, it can be really beautiful before settling into sleeping pigeon to sometimes just take a moment in kind of a lifted, exalted heart pigeon. Feeling that whole line from left hip flexor, psoas, heart, shoulders, throat, face, and exhale, resting inward. And as you settle into your body, your breath, your sensations, your inner emotional world, just being with what is true, what is here for you, being here for yourself. And very slowly lifting up. And we'll take this to side two and curl your toes under, send your right leg back. Take a moment to bring your left leg forward and through. You might take that moment in the lifted variation before settling, softening, deepening. So I shared earlier about feeling sometimes like water that senses all of the ripples and vibrations of the world around. And when all of that settles, when we come back to self, sometimes we find the clearest reflection of ourselves. Very gently, very lovingly, pressing back up. This time I'll invite you just to shift your weight into your left hip, take your right leg around and forward, and to come down onto your back. We'll do a short Shavasana, although given the dynamic nature of this practice, if you'd like to stay in Shavasana longer, I'm going to highly encourage it. Finding your way, you might, since we're just in a pigeon shape, you might just even yourself out by drawing both knees into your chest, a little rock side to side, maybe a little squeeze, and press everything in before sending your legs long and finding a final resting shape, that which lets you integrate and receive. Again, return to stillness, return to yourself. I'll invite you to rest and receive here. I will once again offer up the Wise Words for When People Ask by Rosemary Watola Tromer. I want a word that means okay and not okay. A word that means devastated and stunned with joy. I want the word that says I feel it all at once. The heart is not like a songbird singing only one note at a time, more like a Tuvan throat singer, able to sing both a drone and simultaneously 2 or 3 harmonics right above it. A sound, the Tuvans say, that gives the impression of wind swirling among rocks. The heart understands the swirl, how the churning of opposite feelings weaves through us like an insistent breeze, leads us wordlessly deeper into ourselves, blesses us with paradox, so we might walk more openly into this world so rife with devastation, this world so ripe with joy. And as you let those words wash over you and the practice integrate through, you can check in and ask yourself whether you'd like to stay resting in Shavasana or make your way back up to sitting. And taking a moment here just to thank yourself for showing up for yourself and for this community. Really, truly an honor to be your guide. Thank you for showing up. With deep gratitude, namaste. Mm.